on this beautiful Tuesday morning to Sales Chatter. So here's the question. How do you sell something nobody's ever heard of before? To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. What? Lisa's got the title back. And look at, not only did she get the title back, she got the title back on LinkedIn and YouTube. So
how did that happen?
She was double good morning.
That's next level. Lisa.
Next level. Hey, you must have
that's
both.
That's going for no twice. She's fired out.
What it do, boys? Hey, good morning, everybody. Here's DJ, and Nick will just 1 second and we'll get to you because we're dying to hear. Nick's from Scotland, everybody. So y'all, we're talking like when Nigel's here from across the pond. I mean, we're really diving deep on the other side of the world here, and it's great. Nick, thanks for having us. I think I could have done that intro a little better. You know, something sounds so good in your head, and you're like, oh, that drives an impact. And as soon as I hit play on the video, I was like, that was kind of lame. But I do think the conversation today is going to drive home some serious value. So, Nick, after you and I spoke 2 weeks ago, I believe it was now, 2 or 3 weeks ago now, I was very impressed. And I know our conversation took a turn as to how in the heck do you sell this thing in the market? And that's really what we want to dive into today. So can you share with the audience a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your products and service, and then we'll kind of dive into that. How in the hell do you sell something that's never been sold before?
100%. It was thanks again for having me on. Yeah, it was like a good conversation last, was it 2 weeks ago? So I hope the dogs are not going to disturb today's call. Right?
They're not even in the room.
Don't get them started. Don't say
it's we learn. See, when we don't learn from these things, the dogs keep barking. And I was saying to DJ, I don't know if you saw the episode a couple of days ago, but I said to DJ, I said, okay, we might have a problem here. So typically they get like a 45-minute run before they come into the office for the show, and then they lie down and they conk out. And I was like, DJ, I had 15 minutes. And was I right, DJ, or was I right?
You freaking nailed that, though. You knew. It was like clockwork. It really was.
It really was. And that's in sales, that is the thing, right? You try something, you're like, it didn't work. Okay, you redo it, it works. Keep running with it. Like, don't go. And so, yeah, sorry. I mean, I want you to, you go ahead, Nick. But no dogs, man. We're good, brother. We're good. And we're going to have an Iron Man conversation.
Yeah. So, so I'm Nick. I've got the Nick Roemer, all the way across the pond here in Scotland. Originally from Holland. Well, we should actually say the Netherlands, right? But came across here in Scotland around 10 years ago, I think. And got involved with Cybers 21, right? And at that point, when I got involved, initially, it was nobody heard of it, right? And I was like, why has nobody heard of this? Made no sense to me because on paper, that was gold dust. And so I started with the guys, and we grew it and grew it and grew it. And I said, there's a certain path we need to take. And that's what we did. And probably 5 years later, this is where we are right now, at the brink of probably, knocking on some doors in other geographical areas. And that's why we're probably on the call right now, across the pond. I think that's where it started, making sure that we tackled exactly who's our target audience, and do we actually know the people inside this industry. It was great that what we had, but no, like you said, how do you sell something nobody had heard of? But then the other thing is, do we actually know the people that we're going to sell this to? So that's the main end, the fuel industry. So that's where we came from. So that's why I'm landed here today with you guys.
So what was the biggest challenge to break through into a market like logistics and like trucking? Not logistics, like trucking.
So I think from no matter what it is you do, no matter what it is that you have, your product or service can be the best thing since sliced bread, right? But if you don't understand the industry, one, if you don't understand the people within the industry, not just the industry, I can know all the technical terms, but if you don't understand the people and how they react to things and what they're like, first get to know your people, right? Before you even start thinking of like selling your product. And I think initially that was quite frustrating because when I used to be in sales, was direct sales. People, what I was selling before was like I knew people wanted, but it was software, what it was retail, what it was like people came for something, right?
Yeah.
So like it's an easy sell.
Yeah.
But how do you sell something that people actually don't know is out there? They need it, when you talk about it, of course they need it. But until then, just make sure you understand the industry first, and that's probably the frustrating point and the challenge, because that takes time. You can't just bombard an industry and say like, "Look what we've got," because they will knock you out the industry as quick as you came in.
That's interesting.
Now, Nick,
Go ahead.
what helped you? What helped you guys pinpoint your target audience? What helped you navigate that and really find who you're going to be working with or who to target with this?
Well, the biggest thing when we first started, it was like, okay, so we need to find, because the application that we have with Cybus 21 isn't what. So first of all, when people even, what the hell is Cybus 21? What does these guys do? So it's a retro.
Actually, that's how you landed on the show, because when we were talking about it, you said it, and I was like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Nick, we got to connect. I want to know what this is." So it's interesting how you led with that hook.
Yeah.
And like you caught me. I was like that fish that's like, oh yeah, I'm in. Let me tell me about it. You know what I mean? And AJ, like we talk about this. How do you hook? Yeah. So Hayden will get that for sure because he's a fisherman person, fishing guy. I don't know. Whatever. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. So what is it we do? Like the main thing is like a retrofit company that targets the diesel engines, and we burn diesel fuel more holistically. So I've said it before, where I always put this on a layman term, saying like, if you have a big bonfire, you throw a tree trunk on it, that will burn on the outside. Tomorrow morning you come back, it's charred on the outside, and it's unburned on the inside. That's the same with diesel. The black smoke that comes out of the end out of the exhaust, that's unburned diesel. So what we do is we actually introduce a tiny amount of gas, liquid petroleum gas, or any other gas, and that actually creates like an environment for the diesel molecule to burn more efficiently and actually more holistically. So we burn more of the same molecule that's getting burned right now. So go back to that bonfire. Chop that tree trunk in tiny little pieces, throw it on the bonfire, and tomorrow morning there's nothing left. That will all burn up. So basically, that's what we do. And yeah, so where do we get to with that? It's like the hook, making sure that we target as what where you're trying to get to, DJ. It's like it's applicable to every diesel engine, whether it's a generator, whether it's a train, whether it's a marine vessel, whether it's a truck, whether it's a. So we were like, okay, what's the best and niche market that we can tackle that needs this the most right now? That is the closest to what we were doing. And trucking was just, the one that we pinpointed. And like, we knew that it was an industry that's like, it was heavily on there, like the CO2 reduction. Cars is one thing, but what we were doing with trucks is like, it's slightly different. So we were like, okay, trucking is the niche that we need to go after, and the rest will follow at some point. But the trucking is the industry we need to go after.
So, Nick, when as you're sharing those details, my sales brain starts kicking in, and saying, okay, and so everybody that's watching, listening, logistics, software, I don't care what sales you are, you're dealing with a couple of points there. So one, warranty. How does this impact the warranty? Two, maintenance. How does it get maintained? So like these are probably like the first two questions that three, does it work? Right? Like, let's be real, because you're trying to sell something. So you have untested markets that say, okay, what about my warranty? If I put this in my warranty, like, is it going to burn out turbos? Is it going to burn this out? Is it going to burn that out? Two, what happens if something goes wrong? Like from a North American market, you're in Scotland. who services these things, where do they happen? So share with us how you acquired or gathered these rebuttals and what you kind of did as a team to face them head on. Because I think this is one challenge in the sales world. It's like salespeople go out and then they get a rebuttal and we do nothing with it. And we're just kind of like, we freeze. And instead of saying, okay, so I heard that from 4 people. I heard this from 3 people. Let's look at them. And how do we address those main concerns? So how did you and your team do it to really start like just, oh, great question. And it's like, okay, that makes sense. Great. How did you guys do that?
That's what you were talking about earlier, right? If we don't learn from what we do, then so we've been knocked down probably 10 times, right? So and we'll probably get knocked down a couple more times, like
Just 10?
Along just 10. That's it. Yeah. I'll dodge. I've dodged the first, like
he's moving.
It's the bigger one, isn't it? The right hooks that I didn't see coming. It is exactly those things. So when it comes to warranty, we've got that sorted, right? So we hold like a drivetrain warranty, and we for the trials we hold a bumper to bumper warranty, right? Because we are so confident in what we do. But that was trial and test until we're so confident in our product that we can say, you know what, this needs to go with a warranty, because that's probably one of the main questions that get asked, which we've already been asked 10 times. So we need to make sure that we've got that. So we've got that in place. When it comes to installing, okay, so we've got installers. We've got a engineers program that will set up engineers to be certified to install our product, right? Great. It gets installed in under 2 hours. We're going to try to get it down to under an hour, but it gets installed in literally a couple of hours. If you're certified, right, the training center could be in wherever it is over in the US, because we're setting up and we're in the process of setting up Cybers 21 US. So we're literally in the process of it right now. We're working together with some well-known universities. I think I can't name the for legal reasons which university it is just yet, but I think we are. So like in those kind of things, just because we know we're in Scotland, we can't just go out and say like, okay, well, we fly out every time we've got a product sale or a trial or whatever. No, we need to make sure that the products are being manufactured over in the US. It's installed by US installers. It's, like, so, because that's only makes sense, right? It doesn't make sense that we're here. You're not going to order sorry for the advertising, but like, you're not going to order a Big Mac, right? And I'll send it from Scotland. What makes no sense? You need to have it there. So produce it there, manufacture it there, install it there, and everything else. And that's the same what we did, but everything around it, from a warranty perspective to maintenance. You said maintenance. We're so confident in what we do as a byproduct of like how it burns the molecules more like holistically. It burns less hot, so the engine doesn't get as hot. So actually, from a maintenance perspective, your maintenance costs will go down because your engine will be cleaner. So that's a byproduct of what happens in the engine. So actually, like when people say like our maintenance costs are going through the roof because of prices are rising and everything else, put a lot of our products on it. You pay less fuel, you pay less maintenance, you're reducing CO2, everybody wins.
Yeah.
Right?
So it sounds like you're selling benefits.
It almost is, isn't it? It almost is. Like, sign up and you get it. Like, what do you need to do for it? What's the catch? And unfortunately, there is no catch. Yeah, of course, we as a company will make some money out of it. That's the catch. But other than that,
if a company doesn't make money, they're not around. So making money is a byproduct
there's no catch
of adding
to that.
value, right? So there's no catch to that. You have to make money.
Sorry, we're not a charity, no.
Yeah. So it's
now what?
When go ahead, DJ. Go ahead.
Sorry, so it burns through, and I understand that. So you're not getting this cleaner with all of that. But what is is it adding more fuel efficiency? Does it add more? What is it adding as far as that
goes?
So
actually, because like we're not injecting it, we're introducing it. So that's there's a big difference. Like, don't ask me the exact difference. That's our technical head of technical.
That's too technical. We don't need that information anyway.
Right, in sales, we need to understand how it works, but not really into the finer detail.
Yes.
But that's exact. So because we're introducing tiny amount of liquid petroleum gas, of any other gas, from the air intake, and it actually gets controlled by the ECU. That controls how much goes in, like depending on how much like you're
Okay.
required. So
Okay.
it's a constant, but a variable. And then what does that do? It makes sure that it's optimized at all times. Like so many times per second, it can kind of calculate it.
Wow.
And in that sense, what does it do? Okay, well, a minimum of around, we've seen 15 to 20%. We're targeting around 30% of fuel savings. That's kind of like where we want to go. Marine, we can see that even going higher to 40, 50%. But until we've done the final testing, we don't know. It's theory, but like in trucks, we've seen it 15 to 18 to 22%. So we're targeting even further with our Gen 2. And so what else does it do? Then you get your maintenance because it burns less hot, so therefore like less maintenance. And actually, as a byproduct as well, there's actually a boost in performance. That's not really like what we're promoting; it's a byproduct, but yeah, you see a boost in that as well. So it's
Because
actually
it's
like,
cleaner, right? I mean, in the end, it's cleaner. Yeah.
yeah, you can
So
make like, I don't know what the equivalent is over in the US. Like here we've got like Euro 5s, but in certain like clean zones you need to be Euro 6. If you're a Euro 5 and you put a product on it, that turns into a Euro 6. From a clean perspective. So you can all of a sudden in a clean zone, you can just drive without any penalties.
Wow.
So, I as I'm listening to you, Nick, I'm saying, shit, that's a killer product. And I don't get me wrong, I am, and for everyone watching this, I'm not a mechanic. I understand the components of engines. I've kind of put pistons in and all that kind of stuff on my snowmobile and stuff, but I'm not an engine guy. But as soon as you say gas in a diesel engine, my stomach turns.
Mm.
And and here's kind of what I'd really like you to address specifically, because I think it's going to help. When you say something like 20, 30% fuel savings, that's a huge claim. And
Mhm.
and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm willing to bet people are like, come on, man, really?
Mhm.
And have you ever had kind of that you're putting gas in a diesel engine, like from mechanics or anybody, or do they understand that more that you can in a diesel? Because
Yeah,
I've
but
seen
because
people
because
that
we're not
said,
putting it,
Well,
it gets into. Sorry,
yeah,
Ian.
I think I understand. So it goes through the air intake, so it's never
Yeah,
really going into the engine, anyways.
no,
It's kind of like a blend, is what it's doing. So it's
it's it.
right.
Yeah, exactly. It's where the diesel gets introduced and the air gets introduced, and then
Yeah.
we introduce it like literally 4.7%, I think it is at the moment,
Mm.
which roughly what it is. We're trying to get that down to less than 4% of
Mhm.
gas, just as
Okay.
an additive for the air mixture, to actually for the molecules to all of a sudden they're all of a sudden behave irregular, rather
Mm.
than they're not as comfortable anymore, so they kind of split up in smaller pieces, and therefore you get like and because it's such a tiny amount of gas, like it's not like huge amount of gas and everything else. It's not like a dual fuels, because we've seen them ones, or the LPG conversions or the gas conversion. It's not nothing like it. It's a small gas tank that goes on the back of the truck, and if the gas runs out, that's fine. It switches itself off, and you just drive like normal.
Yeah.
You just
so
don't get your 20% fuel saving.
It's
I'm I'm really trying to turn this back, and I'm sure both of you could tell based on my line of questioning here, to add some serious value.
yeah.
You know, um, it's you've got all of these new introductions with this product.
Mhm.
So what were some of the starting point with you and your team, your marketing team, your sales team, to say, like,
Mm.
listen, guys, we're introducing something here. How do we sell this? And not only how do we sell it, how do we work as a team and collaborate on a lot of the challenges that salespeople see, and so on and so forth. And I'd like you to get really granular to really help the listeners out, um, because I think that is critical when it comes to like what we do, how we do it, what are the benefits we work with. Because I've heard a ton of benefits, um, did they stick, like all of that. So if you can dive granular for us, I think it'll really add some value. And I'm sorry, I know, guys, gentlemen, both of you, I keep coming back to this. It's just I'm trying to get to the answer, and I haven't heard it yet.
Okay. I wonder if I keep going and it's in there somewhere. But
No, that's okay. I'll keep coming back to it, Nick. Don't worry about it. But I see you know what it is? I see you're very passionate about the product, and you love the results, and that is key, right? Because results drive everything, even in on every end of logistics. It's for us, it's more of an information passing, but the results we get for our customers drive everything. But I also know, as a salesperson, that techno babbles a lot. I'm always trying to dive into that real meat and the juice of everything, because I'm helping it for me to get better, for DJ to get better, and for every listener to get better. So you're doing awesome, brother. It's just I'm trying to dive a little deeper, and I'm trying to get inside the concepts and the strategies and the product to say, what's the nucleus of the sales call? Like, 20% fuel savings, you're going to hook a lot of people, especially a lot of like clients managers and maintenance managers and owners of a 20% fuel saving. So it's a great hook, but there's a whole lot of meat and potatoes behind that hook in order to keep the fish on the line, right? Or a whole lot of whatever.
Exactly. Well, to go with that, right? To go with your fish analogy, right? Like it's everybody can throw out a line, right?
Yes.
So in that sense, it's like everybody can throw out a line, so everybody can do that in that sense where it's like, yeah, right. That's your sales call, your cold call, you're reaching out to people whatsoever, right? Everybody can do that, and as I said, I've done it multiple times where I just threw out something and nothing came back. An old book came back, or whatever it was, right? Like, you don't know what's on the end of the hook. But that's where the technique comes in, where it's like, okay, so you need to understand the industry. Okay, so in the beginning, I was throwing to the left, but it was a massive current there. People weren't listening. Okay, I'm throwing it to the right and see what's happening there. And that's understanding as well the people. Initially, at the very start, we were tackling fleet managers, right? And at the
Okay.
very start, because we thought these are the guys dealing with the engines. These are the guys that we need to talk to. Which, I'm not saying was completely incorrect, but they were not the decision makers if that product was going to be assembled on their trucks or not. It was more from a slightly up the way where a financial manager, like whether it's a CFO or a forward-thinking CEO, is saying, well, this is what we're getting dealt with, whether the environment or the cost or whatever. Okay, so therefore, I took my fishing rod back in, threw it back out again, and started tackling like CFOs and CEOs. They're not the guys that you get on a call with straight away. So again, I needed to rein back and started a bit closer and the start of the pond, the smaller fish, and started going there and making sure that people understood what we were doing. The actual truck drivers, right? The guys are driving the trucks. The guys are there. Maybe some of the guys are doing the maintenance, but they're not the fleet manager. Understanding it, yeah, that makes sense. Let me have a chat. So all of a sudden, when these people start talking, and from a social media perspective, and just me reaching out to a lot of people, including you guys, in that sense, where it's like, okay, well, more people need to understand it, more people need to hear about it, and if you just like I said, if I was just blindly just keep going at the fleet managers, and why they're saying no, it's because they were not the decision makers. They've done something for so long that they're like, no, 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 no. Oh, and I'm quite excited. Some people even said, no, I'm quite excited about finally getting our electric trucks. Okay, but the CFO is saying, yeah, but that's two times the price of one truck, And then the CEO is saying, yeah, but like we've not really investigated this, and this. So from a team's perspective, and our team is not that big just yet, where we've been able to keep it quite small right now. That was just falling and getting back up, falling and getting back up, and seeing, and even like we had that conversation. Who do you actually speak to? Who do you actually speak to at the start? Do you go to like the bigger guys? Do you go to the smaller guys? So right
Absolutely
message,
right, Lisa.
Lisa say
Right
that.
message, wrong people. And
Bingo.
this is the
And
meat and potatoes I
it's
was
that whole
trying to get
story
at,
of
Nick.
it's the whole story of the old car, and they tell them to take it to take it to the pawn shop, take it to the used car dealership, take it to the antique. It's just finding the right
Exactly.
that's going to value what you got. Yeah.
That's
See,
such a strong message, Lisa. That's like
yeah,
spot on.
third time's a charm. Because that's really where I wasn't trying to direct it, but that's really the message I wanted to get across, is because you're introducing a brand new product to the market. And originally you would think the maintenance guy, the head of fleet maintenance, would be like, I'm all over this. But it's a savings, right? Like we, every time I give a demonstration of C-level selling, I share the biggest part of it is not everybody in logistics is going to go to the CEO. Like if you want to sell from the top, right? If you want to sell from the C-level down, you might have a consolidated product that's really going to help a company, but it's going to be a massive savings. You would start with the CFO because they talk savings, they talk numbers if you can back it up, right? Or if you've got a product or service that is a marketing product or service, you go to the CMO, where it's like, hey, when we do this, we can market your company better. So there's all different levels that we start at. And I love the fact that you said, hey guys, we started with the fleet manager, because most people think start with the traffic manager. Sometimes that's the worst place to
Shipping
start.
manager, traffic manager. Yep.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a worse place to start because A, they're on their way out. B, they hate their job. They're just doing enough to get by. Like, and some aren't, but
And
some
they don't
are.
want to add anything to the mix.
Exactly. And you spend months selling this person, and they're like, okay, let me go talk to my boss. And you're like, what? I thought you said you could make the decision. Oh no, I don't make any decisions. I got to go talk to my boss. It's like, holy crap, I just spent 3 months selling for nothing. Now we got to start the whole process over, because that person's not selling the way you could sell it, or they're not as passionate. But like, yeah, this guy Dan called. He says he can, do this and this. What, are you interested? It's like, oh, that's a great sell, right? Like that. Yeah, real effort there, man. You know what I mean?
And what happens a lot straight away is because they get the question asked back. We've seen that a lot. Like if you go to the fleet manager, like, it doesn't really care, right? He just wants to make sure that his fleet is like running. This is something unknown. You said, how do you sell something you've never heard of? Why would I put something on my truck that I've never heard of, right? From
How
a
is it
fleet
going to screw
manager, a
everything
lot of
else up?
times what we heard was like,
Yes.
yeah, well, that's adding an additional challenge, an additional unknown to my fleet. So they go to their CFO because they've been sold, and if you have a good salesperson, they can get through to that. But then it doesn't mean that the sales go through. Why? Fleet manager goes to the CFO or CEO. They ask the question back because they're the expert of the fleet. That's why they've got that position. What do you think? Okay, if they don't come back with saying like this, we need this. If they don't say that with that much passion and conviction, they will say, you know what, probably not. And then you don't hear anything for a while. We went through that. Definitely, we went through that over here in Scotland and the UK until we finally kind of pinpointed, as Lisa was saying earlier, like, we had the right message. Why is the right message not really heading home? Because we were tackling the wrong people.
Yeah. Because then they ask questions, and then they go, well, I don't know. Like, it sounds like it's going to work. And if it doesn't, and here's another level that you just added to it, right? It's a very visual decision, what I call a visual decision. So they add the product to the trucks. They spend tens of thousands of dollars on the product. They add it to the trucks, and the trucks start breaking down more. That decision that individual made to add an unknown product to the truck has now caused ripple effects and caused huge service failures. You look at logistics sales and B2B and all that, and they make a decision to use DJ or Dan as their logistics provider, and we completely screw up. That's a very visual decision again. Now, all of a sudden, it's a ripple effect down the pond, and everybody's trying to save their own ass. So how do we eliminate that, or how do we reduce that? Oh my God, if I make this decision to this. So that was the gold I was trying to get to, everybody, and we did it in 29 minutes and 25 seconds. I love that. Yeah, that is like awesome, man. That's great. So, for any trucking company watching, listening, Nick, just share quickly how they can get a hold of you, and then we'll close this out.
Probably the best thing is LinkedIn is probably the best place, or look online, www.cybus21.com, or just look me up on LinkedIn, Nick Roemer or Cybus21. And yeah, we're still looking for a couple of beta trials, like platinum trialists for our product, which is Gen 2. So anyone wants to be in touch, just reach out.
Okay, done. DJ, what do we got,
That would be
brother?
awesome. All right. Well, hey, Nick, thank you for joining us. And thank you, everybody, this morning. All your comments. Lisa, great. Throw that up there again, because that is
Hit
so
that
crucial,
nail on the
guys.
head, eh?
In sales, remember that. The right message, you could be just giving it to the wrong people. So I could actually even go out with that. But I do have one from Zig. I really like this one, so I got to go out. Again, Sales Chatter Live, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Start your day right with these two crazy guys right here. And Zig Ziglar, when you put faith.
He's crazy. He's crazy.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
When you put faith, hope, and love together, you can raise positive kids in a negative world.
Nice. To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations,